The race to the moon is on, and it's a thrilling yet challenging journey for NASA and SpaceX. With China aiming to plant its flag on the lunar surface by 2030, the pressure is mounting on the U.S. Space Agency to beat them to it. But here's where it gets controversial. NASA's hopes of achieving this feat rest largely on the shoulders of a single private company, SpaceX. As SpaceX's Starship rocket soared into the sky this week, a chant of USA echoed from the crowd outside Mission Control. This successful test flight, after a series of fiery setbacks, brings Elon Musk's company one step closer to its goal of carrying NASA astronauts back to the moon. However, the path ahead is fraught with obstacles, as significant as the 400-foot-tall launch system itself. The space race between the U.S. and China has heated up, with NASA selecting SpaceX for its upcoming moon mission, dubbed humanity's first return to the lunar surface in over 50 years. But China is determined to claim this milestone, pledging to land astronauts on the moon by 2030. SpaceX, though making impressive strides since Starship's debut in 2023, has faced a string of failures earlier this year, including 2 explosions that scattered debris over the Caribbean. This has left the company significantly behind schedule if the U.S. wants to beat China to the moon. The reliance on SpaceX highlights a larger issue. NASA's future is now in the hands of a private company. Casey Dreyer, chief of space policy for the Planetary Society, emphasizes that the stated national priority of the U.S. is now dependent on a private entity rather than the government. When NASA began partnering with commercial spaceflight companies, the goal was to foster competition, drive down costs, and create redundant options to minimize risk. Yet so far, no other competitors, including Boeing and Blue Origin, have come close to matching SpaceX's capabilities. The stakes are high, especially as NASA faces potential funding cuts under the Trump administration's efforts to reduce government spending. The agency has already reduced its staff by around 1/5, including over 2,000 senior-level employees, since President Donald Trump took office. NASA's acting administrator, Sean Duffy, remains confident, asserting that the U.S. will beat China to the moon. However, if China gets there first, experts worry about the potential consequences, including the possibility of China claiming valuable lunar resources. To avoid this, NASA needs SpaceX to deliver a functional Starship quickly. The most powerful rocket system ever developed, Starship must conduct orbital flights around Earth, which have not been achieved in previous tests. This feat relies on an upgraded prototype that SpaceX plans to unveil early next year. Starship consists of a first-stage booster, Super Heavy, and an upper-stage spacecraft. For the 2027 moon mission Artemis 3, the system is designed to work with NASA's own space vehicles, which have faced their own delays and cost overruns. The plan involves astronauts launching atop NASA's Space Launch System rocket, transferring to Starship once their Orion capsule enters lunar orbit, and then returning to Earth via Orion after a week on the moon. This intricate sequence relies on unproven technologies, particularly the refueling of Starship while in space. Dreyer explains that the number of launches needed to transport the necessary fuel is unclear, but they would need to occur rapidly. He estimates that anywhere from 12 to 20 refueling launches within a month would be required to refill Starship's tanks, a feat never attempted before. Refueling in space alone would demand huge advancements from Starship's current capabilities, he adds. It's a massive challenge, and without all that, you don't get to the moon, Dreyer said. The Starship lander, towering nearly 150 feet, is a far cry from the spidery-looking landers of NASA's Apollo program. This taller design allows Starship to carry more passengers and cargo, but may also make it less stable than its Apollo counterpart. A single liftoff of the Saturn V rocket used for Apollo flights would cost around $2 billion today. SpaceX's goal of making Starship fully reusable would significantly reduce costs and launch turnaround times. The next step for SpaceX is to unveil its upgraded Starship prototype, which will be around 5 feet taller and feature new docking mechanisms, improved energy storage, and software upgrades for long-duration flights. This new version will be used for Starship's first orbital flights and will enable SpaceX to test critical procedures like fuel transfer and payload delivery. As China's 2030 goal looms, future Starship flights will be closely scrutinized. Dreyer emphasizes the complexity and demanding nature of space exploration, where every moment presents a potential threat. 4 years in the space world is almost no time at all, he said. The race to the moon is a captivating yet challenging endeavor, and the outcome remains uncertain. Will NASA and SpaceX beat China to the lunar surface, or will China claim this historic milestone? Only time will tell, and the world watches with bated breath.